Okay, so my name is Graham Bell. I'm a technical specialist for Autodesk Media Entertainment in EMEA. I'm based out of London. I've been with Autodesk for 5-6 years, and before that I've worked in games and film production as well. So if you guys are starting out, I've been there, and if you guys have done some late nights eating cold pizza, I've also been there as well on the actual games production. So I'm going to be taking you through my LT, which is a relatively new product from us Autodesk. We're on our kind of second version, but we've done a lot of stuff, and this is a new product that's aimed specifically at the indie games developer. The reason why I'm starting off to boot from the very top is that it looks like Maya, but it's a very kind of streamlined version of Maya, but it's a product which is focused around games in particular, and more importantly, the indie games developer. So firstly, you'll see this new thing. If you've never used Maya before, and there's a lot of guys who are getting into this now who've never come across a 3D package and are using Maya for the first time, we've tried our best to steer you through the product as much as possible to help you get introduced to the product as well. So straight away you'll get this little pop-up box. You can turn it off if you don't want to, but you'll see that all the new features are highlighted. So if I just close that and I start looking at some of these menus, all these things are kind of all highlighted. You can see the new features straight away, because I realise a lot of people they'd not realise that we'd added stuff. So we want to kind of highlight them, and you can look at them and look through the documentation as well and see how it kind of works. So what I'm going to do is just a little script I run here, and I use this to kind of load some things up and load some simple scenes. And I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to quickly give a very quick overview of some of the really cool stuff we've got in Maya LT 2015, and it's awesome. It's just so good. It's really good stuff now. Now, the first thing we look at is probably some of the poly modelling things. So we have basically exactly the same modelling tool set of what's in Maya 2015, exactly the same. So all the cool stuff we had in Maya 2015 is all in Maya LT. And we've spent a lot of time and effort over the last two versions to really overhaul our modelling tool set. So we started off by integrating the Next toolkit, and again we've improved upon that, and we're taking it to new places as well. So there's some really simple stuff. So straight away, if I turn on the modelling toolkit here on the left hand side, you've got some really cool tools here. And we like to see this is perhaps the only place you'll need to go to. But Maya's all about marking menus and being able to get through these kind of really kind of streamlined workflows. So we can right mouse click and we just highlight kind of our faces, and we can quickly just move around our kind of view. We can move on to like a soft selection as well. And we can even mirror that as well if you wanted to, so we can see on the other side. What we could do if we wanted to start looking at other, say some of the more kind of obvious modelling features inside Maya LT, if we just isolate that selection very quickly. So we can do things like, say, simply extruding the features as well. So if I just go on the face and just turn off that for a moment, and let's turn on symmetry as well. So just click that. Right mouse click, and you see even on the marking menus, which is integral to Maya, you'll see that you can see all the new features here as well. And I'm just holding the shift key and right mouse button. We can use things like extrude face, and we can just like quickly just make some quick modelling kind of changes here, and you can see it's all visible in the viewport. And again, I can keep going on and adding new stuff here as well. So this is about kind of making it easy for the user, being able to make it easy to do things you want to do as well. Now, one of the other cool things we've added is for Maya LT is the ability to work with data from the cloud. And that's really important when you're working in teams, people working remotely in different locations. So for example, in the file menu, you'll notice this is cloud import and export. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close this scene and just bring this up. So you notice now I've got this new cloud import. I can drag this off if I want to, so I can have it on a separate monitor, or I can have it just integrated into my menu system. So we've got Dropbox, we've got 123D, which is our kind of like our consumer products. We've got 123D Creature, 123D Catch. There's some really good stuff there as well. But more importantly, we've got A360, which is our online cloud collaboration platform. Now I'm going to log in here because in true demo fashion, I've got something I prepared earlier. So this is an example of basically where I could have been, I could have had another artist somewhere, a friend of mine, in another team who's been doing some assets for me. I'm going to sign in, and I should be able to see my folders here on the cloud, and I can just for Graham, now I've got an FBX file which my colleague has sent to me. So I can now import that directly into the package in Maya LT. You'll also notice there's an export button there as well. So what I can now do is, this is the asset that I've actually got. So I've got this really cool ray gun, but it's not particularly very kind of streamlined for games, so I need to retopologize that so I can start using my modelling toolkit for that. So let's just zoom in here, and we can actually just make this a live surface. And now I can use my quad draw, and I can start placing where I want my polygons to go. And this is what I love about this package. It's so cool. There we go. And I can now start basically, so I hold the tab key and just extend the face out. And I do that, and it automatically snaps to that as well. So I hold tab key and do the middle mouse button, I can extend that like that. Oops. And to there. And to there, and I can hold down the control key and I can start adding extra edges. So that's how kind of I can do a relax tool and just get it kind of brushed on there, and you'll see when I scroll around, it's absolutely conformed to that surface. It's that quick, it's that easy, it's really, really cool. I love this feature, and when it added in a couple of versions ago from Maya, I just love the modelling tools now, they're getting really, really cool. And again, I can make the changes, and again, the cloud's still there, so I can just go back in there and I can actually just, now I can take that and give it a file and export the selection. I can export the entire scene, I can export it as a MyLT scene file, an OBJ export, an FBX. So I could actually then upload that to the cloud, email my friend saying, hey, I've made some changes, I've retopologized your object, you can go ahead and texture it now. So, that's really cool. Now, speaking of texturing, we've made some really cool changes to the unfold algorithm inside MyLT now. So this is a simple object. Let's bring up the UV editor. So I've got no UVs on here whatsoever. So I'm just going to basically quickly apply projection. So straight away, we've added some cool features. We can see checkerboard pattern straight away inside the viewport and also in the UV editor. That's really cool. We can see the kind of borders up there. We can fill that in as well, so we can start to see our UVs a bit more. But that's not very kind of cool to work. We need to flatten that or unfold it. So what we can now do is bring back some edges there. And so we need to add a cut line. So I'll just choose an edge like so, and just kind of start to unpeel it almost like an apple or an orange. Let's do that. And so I just need to do my UVs. So go polygons and unfold. You can see it's a new feature for 2015, so we've just got it highlighted. Now, we still have the old legacy unfold algorithm, and I'm going to show you that old one first, and you'll see the improvements we've made. So here's the old legacy. I'll click that, and do apply, and that's that. So really, frankly, it's no good to anybody, is it really? So let's just undo that. Now we use unfold 3D. Bang, straight away. It's a lot better, isn't it? And also what's really cool about Unfold 3D, it doesn't overlap the faces, which is really cool when it comes to UVs. The last thing you want to do is go in there and start moving things around, but we can keep on working with it as well. So we may want to add more cut lines. So we may want to say, this guy here and add this neck down here, and say he's got a collar, so just double click that to do the loop, and just do that. And there, just cut them there as well, so let's just go back to UVs, quickly select them, go back to unfold again, and there, straight away, we've just managed to unpack that. And there's some really cool packing options as well. So again, laying out UVs in the 0-1 space is really quite crucial to games and how you optimise your assets. So again, we've got an optimise button as well. You can optimise the iterations, you can see the pixel size between the different islands. We can now kind of select the shells really easily, so we can use a tweak tool and just quickly move things around. We've got a really cool compression shader here as well, so you can see where the kind of red areas are where the kind of the UVs are really, really compressed. And again, if I was to just sort of select my UVs here, like so, and just scale them out, you can see they'll change colour. So you can quickly see visually straight away. It's all about that visual feedback, that visual fidelity in the viewport, seeing where the problems are, quickly making those changes, and then you can quickly move on with your production. Well, there's another cool thing as well. I can see the shell borders as well, so I can actually start to see the coloured line. So I could see that coloured line there corresponds with that line there. So again, visual feedback, is awesome. Really, really cool. I've wanted that for ages in Maya. I really, really have. So pleased out of it. Okay, so we're going to move quickly on. So, of course, that's all the modelling stuff, but what about some stuff like animation? And again, there's some good stuff in animation as well. So I'm going to load up this dude here. So this is a character called Zombie Boy. So when we first launched MyLT, what some of my colleagues did in EMEA, we made a game. don't worry, we're not going to threaten my Candy at all. What they do is awesome. But we thought, well, hey, why don't we use this product to make a game? You know, it's eat our own dog food. We called the game Brain Balls, and this is one of the little zombie boy characters. And I'll show you a video of that shortly. But what we did is we did everything in MyLT. We set ourselves a little goal, so we won't use anything else, and we used all the animation as well. And I think my colleague in Germany, he actually got a Kinect device and actually did the mocap using the Kinect and then retargeted it and so on. So what I'm going to do very quickly is, if you're not really that much into rigging, well, you can use something like, you can draw the joints out here, but more importantly, you can use something called Human IK. Now, Human IK is a really cool character solving technology we've had in Autodesk for some time, and if you're familiar with our Motion Builder product, then all that really cool technology is the same technology inside the Motion Builder. It's really, really cool, and there's a lot of games out there like Assassin's Creed, for example, that utilise that technology as well. So first off, I can define a skeleton, so let's do that. So straight away, it's on X-ray mode, so I can see my joints. Now what I can do, I can now start to conform the skeleton and make it fit my character. And I can do that really easily with these options here. So let's scale this, scale that down to roughly about there. Let's just remove some of these fingers as well. I don't really need all these. So about 2. Now I can start to move this around. You can see I need to kind of translate these joints into the right position. Now there's a few things you can do to kind of shortcut this. One of these things up here is the snapping tool, so we can snap to the projected centre, which basically means it always snaps to the centre of the object, which is awesome. I can also use the tilde key, which on a US keyboard is just above the tab key and next to the number 1 key. And what that means is I can quickly hold it down and just quickly drag where I need these bones to be. And I don't have to worry about moving the manipulator too much. I'm just going to zoom in here slightly. Just watch me do that. We're going to move pretty quickly, so we're not going to win any awards for this workflow. That's a knuckle. Okay. So I can click this button here and instantly mirror it on the other side. And I'll just quickly do this on the hip and the ankle. Yeah, good, just mirror that. Cool, so if we're happy with that, I can actually lock that down. No problem. And now what I can do is I need to create a control rig, and I can do that straight away with one mouse click. So I can go to the source here. I've got this is my character. I click down to show control rig. I've now got a full body FK and IK rig straight away. And this is what's really cool. It's all using Human IK. So I've got my full body, so I can go like that. It's all there. But what I haven't done, I haven't skinned the character. So I can quickly just go back and it's just undo all that. So let's just do that and take that. And now just go skin. So we bind, and I'm going to use a really cool technology called geodesic voxel binding, which is a really streamlined way of skinning the model inside mine. Now it's a far. We've got these other options here as well, like closest distance and heat map. But what geodesic does, it gets you 3/4 of the way there straight away. So it can deal with non-manifold geometry. It can do duplicate edges and vertices. It really doesn't look at the mesh. So if you're working hard and fast and quick and dirty, and you've not optimised the mesh, that doesn't matter. You can get something running really, really quickly. So let's just do bind skin. And straight away I've now got my bind. So I'm going to undo that because I didn't mirror my skeleton. There we go. So again, you can quickly see I'm able, if I made a mistake, I can quickly just go back and just redo it. And I can get back to where I was before. There we go. And I've got my character back. So let's now look at this. Oh, there we go. Oh, I've suddenly got myself all tied up. Sorry, just very quickly, just whilst I remember, you can also go back and paint the skin weights as well. So again, if I want to realise I've made a mistake or I want to tune this up, I can quickly see my skin weights here. I can use a heat map as well, so I can quickly see straight away the colours that are going to be close to my geometry. And then if I wanted to, I can just go to any one of these joints as well. I can turn these off here, bring up my skeleton, I can right click, select influence, and I can quickly go through all of these to see how that kind of works. Now what I can do is I can actually import some motion capture in here as well. So I can go to my visor. Now, we actually provide you with some animation samples. We've even got some mocap samples in here as well, so we can just right-click that, import them into the Maya scene. We should have something, there we are. So if for whatever reason you wanted to have a zombie boy dancing, you can do that if you want to. And straight away, I've managed to just retarget that on there. So this is the same retargeting technology that's inside Motion Blur, which was used on Avatar. So this is what's really cool about it. You're getting a really cool piece of technology here. Now you can actually start to control this as well. You can actually go in here and start to look at foot contacts. You can control the kind of, and I can move this guy around quite easily as well if I wanted to. I can move him around the scene. So you know that's quite easily. I can just move him around and I'll still retarget. No problem at all. And again, once you're ready, I can just back the whole thing down to the skeleton, and I've got some mocap on my skeleton, and straight from that I can import it to another scene, or I can export it to my game engine. So again, really, really cool. I'm skipping over a lot here because I'm worried about we're in a short time. Okay, now there's some really other cool stuff we added in there as well. So for we added substance textures inside inside my LT. So what was good about that is, actually I'll move on to that in a minute. I want to show this texture deformer. So this is a really cool thing where we're able to deform a piece of geometry with a texture. And this was really cool because it will use any texture. You can use vector displacement maps or black and white displacement map. You can even export maps you've done in, say, Mudbox, for example. And I've got a simple ocean here. So you can see it's just rippling the actual mesh. And if I just go to select my object and go to my attribute editor, you can see here I've got a number of texture deformers which I can actually control interactively as well. And I can actually keyframe these. I can right click and set a keyframe as well. So I can actually keyframe the deforming attributes on top of this as well. And I can sort of go to here and start looking at texture. So I'm using a kind of simple kind of fractal texture here, and I can start to kind of control this here if I want to. Control the ratio a little bit more, and again it will all update instantaneously. This is one of my best little features of my LT. It's like a really, really cool feature, and that's, you can get a rippling ocean in really just a few mouse clicks, and that's what I really like about it. These tools aren't particularly very sexy to some people, but I love them because you can do so much with them. And again, that's really good for doing texture detail on characters. You can deform kind of like any kind of texture map, or maybe like if you've got a character who's got big armour, for example, you can add like embossing features as well. So I think it's a really, really cool addition. And you get that just up here inside the animation menu, create deformers. So that's really cool. And one of the last things we'll look at as well is shader effects. So shader effects is a hardware-based, node-based material editor, specifically designed to doing hardware shaders for games. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly load up this guy here. So this is something I've been playing with myself, just to kind of just give you an idea of how good shader effects actually is. I'm just waiting for the scene to load. So you can see this is using viewport 2.0 as well, which is now our default viewport in my LT. So this has been a kind of a project we've been working on in Autodesk for some time now, of overhauling the viewport and getting as much visual fidelity and quality in the viewport as possible. So you can see I've just got 3 lights, and I can maybe turn on some shadows as well. And again, you can see the kind of dynamic properties I'm able to get inside the viewport. And this has just got 3 textures on it: a diffuse map, specular map, and a normal map, and that's it. What's really cool about it is if I sort of just select this guy here, go to my attribute editor and bring up this guy, he's got shader effects. And when I open up shader effects, I get this. So it's a full node-based editor for doing lots of really cool things. If I toggle on advanced mode here, if I right-click this, you'll see there is it's got the Valve Dota 2 surface shaders in there as well. So we've worked with Valve to basically provide you with a sample set of that shader. So if you want to make assets for Dota 2, you can use that as a material. It's no problem. Fully compliant, so that's really good. You just turn it on just by going to the toggle advanced mode. But you can see here, this is my traditional game surface shader, and you can see that I can do like a lambda or blended normal. And what's really cool about this is that down the bottom here, I can actually compile the shader myself. I can actually save this shader out, so I can I can compile it as a HLSL, I can OSL, CGFX shader if I wanted to, and I can save it to disk. What's even cooler as well is that I can actually save these graphs out as well. So if I wanted to build this shader graph out and share it again, like I did with that asset before going to Autodesk 360, I can take this and I can export the graph, and I can then import that graph into my LTC. So you get one guy building your shader network, and then you can share that amongst his team, so you're all using the same shader. But if you were to add, you can see I've added a texture map there, I've got a normal map being pumped into that as well, and a specular map. You can see here that I've got things like ambient occlusion, I've got blended normal maps, I've got image-based lighting there as well, and I can add different nodes. I can use this browser here to see different nodes, or I could just right-click here and just go to Harvest Shader Nodes. And again, if you're into your program or a TD, you've got maths nodes in here, multiplies, blends, adds and addition and subtractions. Texture nodes, you can see like normal map, there's my normal map node, and once I've got it there, I can pump in a different map as well. So it's really, really cool technology. Shader, I mean, I've been used to using shader-based, node-based shader networks for a while, and this is also, I really like working with this. It's a good way of working. And you can see here that I've got, I can collapse these down as well. I can turn off the previews if I want to. I can collapse these all down. I can control the actual inputs as well. So again, I can choose these options to kind of expose different parameters once I've actually got the actual, once I've got the window closed. So you can see I was able to just add, basically there's just two shaders on this, one for the body and one for the armour and the weapons, and you can see I've got full-blown real-time shadows all in the viewport as well. You can see the type of quality that you're actually able to get. And again, if you want to change the quality, viewport 2.0 options. And again, you can see that I can clamp the texture resolution if I wanted to. I could add screen space ambient occlusion. I could have anti-aliasing as well. Gamma correction as well if you're looking for in your working space. So again, you've got lots of really cool options there as well. And you can render out from this as well. So you can use this as a renderer. So if you want to render out sprites, for example, so using 3D objects in a scene to render out sprites is common workflow in games. It's been used for years. You can do that in Viewport 2.0 and render that out as well, which is really, really cool. So yeah, there's I think maybe there's a few more options here as well, just to kind of wrap things up. So this is an example where it's a simple option, but you're just going to have like glowing lights, for example. So this is the kind of adding these small little things in games, add a bit more life and a bit more kind of interest to your scenes and objects. So there's lots of really cool things you can add there. Let's do, this is my favourite. Again, you look at the object and it's, the shade is doing all the hard work, which is really cool. So that's a very quick overview of my RLT. There's loads more in there to show you. I wish I had more time to show you, but unfortunately I can't because there's some really cool stuff coming up from these guys. But I'm going to be here for the evening. If you've got more questions, which I hope you have, I'm more than happy to try and answer them for you. If you want to know anything about what you've seen or want to know more, then I'm here by all means, come and see me and I'll be happy to help you. Thanks very much.